Well, good morning, Ahiah.
Good morning.
Welcome to live streaming and live service from the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living in beautiful downtown Pasadena, California, USA. Indeed, we are here for God's party this morning, and it's a most auspicious day because we have with us right here in this very room the leaders of the 21st century. We have one, two, three, four, count them, young folks bringing in their energy, their consciousness, saying, yes, we are ready to rise up here in this new United States of America. Welcome. We give you love, family. We're so glad you're here with us to consecrate this service. And thank you, Kelly, for that beautiful meditation this morning. The silence in here was just palpable. I mean, you could really feel the presence. I mean, we've got a special space here. So if you're watching this over live stream, you might consider coming in live so that you could soak up some of this energy in person. So indeed. I'm Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, your guide on the side. I'm the assistant minister here. Our senior minister is Reverend Scott Olson. He's here live and in person too. We have our musical inspiration today, Elizabeth Hangan in the house. Elizabeth. And she's accompanied by the Sunday Band. That's Chris Glick over there tickling those keyboards. I know we've got Leon Johnson around here somewhere on the bass. And on percussions, holding the rhythm for us is Brian Menifee. Brian. And of course, we've got our technical director, stage manager. He's doing it all. Harris, back there on the back, managing our live streaming production. Gloria over there adjusting lights, doing sound. She's backing up the whole service. We would not be able to have service without Gloria. She makes sure that we could be fully heard and understood as well. And out there in cyberspace, Harris is moderating the Facebook chat room, Mindy Morrison in the Zoom room, Peter Bedard's on YouTube. Boy, we really got it going on. And our theme this month is reaching higher, reminding us that we can live our best life. And that we can come together as we do that to reach higher for what it is we want more of in life. And as Kelly alluded to, we want a world that works for everyone with no one left out. Let's be clear about that. And the topic today is one that really excites me. It's "And Still I Rise." And still I rise. Who does that remind you of? Somebody, huh? Yeah, I'm sure we're going to hear more about Mother Maya today. So with that, why don't we just join together, take a deep breath as we listen to this music brought forward, or you might want to watch the pictures too. Gabriel put together this video for us this morning, and we'll prepare for the inspirational reading, the invocation that Kelly will bring to us in just a moment. So let's listen in.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin, like a house of cards, one blow from caving in? Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under screams but no one seems to hear a thing? Do you know that there's still a chance for you? 'Cause there's a spark in you, and you just gotta ignite a light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth and make 'em go as you shoot across the sky. And baby, waste of space. You're original, cannot be replaced. If you only knew what the future holds. After a hurricane comes a rainbow. Maybe a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. Like a lightning bolt, your heart will glow, and when it's time you'll know that you just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go, as you shoot across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, let your colors burst and make 'em go, You're gonna leave 'em all in awe. So don't let 'em take your life for granted. You're the only one who needs to rule your world. When life leaves you feeling empty-handed, light it up and show 'em what you're worth.
Thank you, Gabriel. So we're going to move to that one. All right. So let me take this off so I can be heard a little bit better. I'm caught up in it though. Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Scott Olson. I'm the senior minister here, and it is my pleasure to ask Kelly Metcalf to come on up. She's going to be doing our reading and invocation this morning. Let's give some love to Kelly.
Thank you. I'm not used to being applauded for prayer, but let's turn within. As we just witnessed in that beautiful pictorial meditation, life is forever expressing. Life is unbelievable creativity and imagination. There's love and there's peace and there's joy, and it is present everywhere, this all-powerful one. In, through, as, each and every one present, each and every one we have ever known or are yet to know. It's all spirit. So I claim for each that we open our hearts and our minds and we embrace this truth in a greater way than ever before. That we each are spirit expressing, unique, magnificent, glorious. No matter what we've been taught or what we've heard, we are the unfoldment of spirit in human form. So I delight in knowing that we are blessed by this service. We are blessed by our presence as well as being a blessing. So I give great thanks for Reverend Scott and Reverend Michael and the musicians and Gloria and Harris and Deborah and Peter and all those behind the scenes that bring this together for us, for our inspiration, so that we may walk out these doors, whether it's the doors of this building or the doors of our home, with greater love, with greater peace, with greater understanding that we all are one. No matter our size or age or color, we're all spirit expressing. Just like the caterpillar and the cocoon or the butterfly. Look so different and yet all the same one. So gratitude for this service, for this place, for this philosophy, for this knowing. I release my word to the law that acts on it and makes it so. And together we can all say, and so it is. Amen and amen. Good morning. Like the Rev said, I'm Kelly Metcalf, and I'm very happy to be here with you. And I've brought a reading that Reverend Scott asked that I would bring, and it is, as Reverend Michael referred to her, as Mother Maya's poem, Still I Rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Getting instructions from the boss behind the scenes. So let me start over. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, and still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. Like a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Namaste.
Thank you, Kelly. I think that poem, I asked for her to read that poem because I think that poem speaks to us all, at a really heart level. No matter who we are, it is true for each and every one of us. So now I want to go ahead and ask our own Elizabeth Hangan to come on up. She's going to do, you're going to do the original first, right? Yeah. All right, come on up. She's got a song she's written just for us.
Good morning, Ahiah. Good morning, Ahiah online. And if my mother's watching, good morning. So yes, I'm going to sing this song. So I finished it about 2:30 or 3 o'clock this morning. And it was one of those, I had a really long day, got my feet up, getting ready to go to bed. And then it was like, pss, 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 pss. All right. So here's the result. Life within is spirit, always flowing through me, and through the stress and storms of life, the hand that always guides me. And when my burdens, whether real or imagined, weigh me down and take my breath, Spirit brings me to the Spirit, and I will rise. Yes, I will rise. Fearless I will conquer, and I will rise. Life within is power, so rise. Stand in your truth and rise. If you're feeling broken, just dig a little deeper and know that you are worthy of the goodness that awaits you. And don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Call on the Spirit within you, and you will find your way, and you will rise. Oh, yes, you'll rise. Fearless, you will conquer and rise. Life within is power, so rise. Stand in your truth and rise. I will rise. I will rise. Fearless, I will conquer and I'll rise. Oh, life within is power, so rise. Stand in your truth, oh, and rise. And I will rise. Yes, I will rise. Fearless, I will conquer and I will rise. Yeah, life within is power, so rise. Stand in your truth and rise.
My,
Thank you.
my.
Thank you, Lord.
And rise.
Thank you, guys.
You know, I heard a story recently about Karen Drucker that all those little chants she has, you know, she used to do them the night before because her minister would give her the requirements for the chant on like Friday, you know, and tell her she wanted one. And so here you are. Maybe you'll get an album out of these. This is the second one, right? The second, third, okay, all right. We're on the way. We're on the way to an album. How many songs does it take to make an album? 7? Well, maybe next year. Oh, absolutely. I think it'd be wonderful. So, good morning, everyone. It's so lovely to see you guys. And it's so lovely to know that there are so many people watching us online. It's just beautiful. I love having you here. And I love connecting with you through the week. So if you're not here and can't talk to me today, you know, make sure and give me a call through the week sometime. I would love to chat with you. Our September theme, you know, it's the end of September, so we're almost done with it now, has been reaching higher. And so we got a little rocket showing up here. You know, we're just moving higher all the time with this. And we've been talking about a number of things. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about, celebrating Yom Kippur was a couple of weeks ago. And Chris, who grew up Jewish, was able to tell us a little bit about Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. But we changed it up so that it was at one-ment, and we talked about that. And then last week was all about having a rocky road, you know, and we even talked about ice cream. And I told you that if you like Rocky Road, if it's your favorite ice cream, you're probably a good listener. That's what they say, at least on the Dreyer's website, I think it was. And and so I also talked about how rocky roads create scars, you know, and a scar, it's not a badge of shame. It's also not a badge of honor. It's a pointer to what has been done. It's a reminder that maybe, just maybe, there's something left underneath that needs to be healed. And if we don't heal it, we talked about how that can lead to anxiety, it can lead to depression. And if that's the truth for you, you know, there's time to get help still. We can get help, whether it is out in the medical profession or we can help here. Because I know that when we heal, we can heal. You know, and I talked about it. In fact, this philosophy was founded on the idea that we heal ourselves. That was how this New Thought movement started with Quimby and Mary Baker Eddy and all of them, including our own Ernest Holmes, knew that we could heal ourselves. And I told you about getting 2 teeth removed last week. You know, tap, tap, you know, as they were getting the roots of the teeth out, tapping away. And I'm just thinking, I am filled with the peace, the wholeness, and the order that God is to full and overflowing. You know, and the truth is that I haven't taken any pain medicine. Don't need it. I don't have any swelling. Hasn't happened, you know. So I do know that this process, this stuff that we teach here, it does work. And so we've got a lot more to say, though, today. And I'm going to ask Reverend Mike, the assistant minister here at Ahiah, to come on up. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what reaching higher means to him.
Thank you, Rev.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And for your powerful demonstration of healing, because that was some serious oral surgery last week. Indeed. And thank you, Elizabeth, for saying yes and listening, because you really brought it into the room. Boy, whew, I think your song actually was my power talk. I don't know if there's much more I can add to that. Life within is power. Life within is power, so rise. And we're not talking about the life outside of us, the life that we see on television or Instagram. We're talking about the life that's within you. What is in the way becomes the way. We heard that at the ministers' conference this week over and over and over. What is in the way becomes the way. Often what obstructs us makes us stronger, and it inspires the resilience that we need to emerge into that amazing butterfly that we each are. When we saw those cocoons, it reminded us of the miracle of metamorphosis, of transformation. When that little caterpillar goes into that dark cocoon, she does not know that in that cocoon she's going to melt. Yeah. Melt. Completely disappear from being the being that she once was and emerge with even new DNA. What a deal. And science doesn't understand that, but as metaphysicians, we understand that. We know why that is, because life within is power. And that's what we're here talking about. And there's many people out there that have a high state of pissosity, I'm going to call it. I'm upset because. And they got a lot, you know, they got a lot of reasons why they're upset. Because we've been disconnected from the transmission of truth. And we're here to reconnect. You know, what's come forward for me this week is that part of the reason for the disconnection from our historic lineage about spiritual origins has been the fact that we didn't realize this was passed down to us by mitochondrial Eve 200,000 years ago. It was a direct line of transmission about the origins of our spirituality, the fact that we are spiritual beings. Because truth, real truth, esoteric truth, which is the higher realm, is rarely written down. Rarely written down. And even when it's discovered in the form of cuneiforms and these tablets with that strange writing on it, they don't really know what it means. Right? Because when the colonizer comes in to try to get the truth, the people that have been tricked and have been abused are not going to give up the truth, because it's only transmitted from one to another. This week, I discovered that the father of my father's father was a descendant from the Balanta people in Guinea-Bissau. I had never even heard of the Balanta people. But thanks to the miracle of modern technology, I was on Facebook like that. I found a video of a griot, one who transmits the story of what happened that he got from his mother and father, who got it from their mother and father, who got it from their mother and father, thousands of years ago. And this griot told the story how 6,514 people were taken from the Balanta people. They counted them. They knew their names. It's not written in any history book on the planet Earth. You could never find this information anywhere else except from the lineage, the direct transmission to this griot, this storyteller. He carries the story inside of him. And he says that, his people were tricked. Some of them said, oh, we're going to give you a job. Come on, hop in, right? And they never returned. Others tried to be forcibly taken. But he said that the Balanta name is called those who resist, and that they resisted because they knew the truth. So the idea that thought is creative is as ancient as humankind. And it originated in Africa with mitochondrial Eve 200,000 years ago. And we know that the Spirit downloaded it to her so that she could pass it to her children and to the children of her children's children, which includes us here today. The idea that thought is creative and that when we get together that we can coalesce, that we could create a world that works for everyone, it's a dangerous idea. But we have manifested it. I mean, this building, we bought this building with no money. For those of you who weren't around, didn't know the story, we bought the building through consciousness. We bought this building after 7 years and for the same price that we had offered 7 years prior, and we didn't have the money. But consciousness allowed us to manifest this space because we're on a mission to create a world that works for everyone with no one left out. We had a wonderfully successful prosperity campaign 2 years ago before the coronacation. And even though we didn't have a prosperity campaign last year, we did all right. We ended up coming out into the black, which was, it was really a manifestation of consciousness. The idea that we can come together and we can support one another, that we can support this love that's emerging. So we have actual proof that this thing works. In Sanskrit, one of the first written languages besides the Adinkra language, which I have here, this symbol means to know God, to accept God. It's an Adinkra language. It's similar to Sanskrit, and not many of the archaeologists understand Adinkra, and they don't see the corollary between this language and Sanskrit. But this says to know God. There's a proverb that encapsulates the truth being transmitted to one another. And I actually was exposed to this when I was a teenager studying Buddhism. I got inspired by the fact that my dad was a Buddhist, and I wanted to know more about how we could create peace, world peace through individual peace. And so I learned this Sanskrit proverb, and I'm going to share it with you here this morning. It says, one single human being awakened to the ultimate reality of life will create a similar awakening in another human being. I'm going to say it one more time. One single human being awakened to the ultimate reality of life will create a similar awakening in another human being. My grandmother used to say it like, boy, if you hang out in a barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. Be careful who you hang out with, because consciousness, it's catching, right? So conversely, when I rise, a single human being, I take all with me. Christ, the master teacher, said in John 12:32, and if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me and women, reminding us that when we uncover that Christ presence inside of us, that magnificent light, that power within that Elizabeth sang about, we will create a similar awakening in another human being, in our children, and in their children, those who are yet to be born, in our ancestral line, in our neighbors, and those in the supermarket, at the doctor's office, and those who we hold in our mind's eye right now, because we can see their suffering, we can feel it. When we know the truth, when it's known anywhere, it's known everywhere. Remember that for the plant to rise from the seed, it must first incubate, it must be fertilized, it must germinate. And there is a time for all these things to happen. So in school, we get the lesson, and then they give us the test. In Earth School, we get the test, and then we get the lesson. So whether you're in a test now, or you just finished the test, or you're about to go into a test, know that you have the notes that have been passed down to you from your spiritual mother. God always wins. For in this play, what the Hindus call Leela, God's play, we know that the divine is always at play. We know that we signed up for our role, that we were souls that said, yeah, I'll get born again. I'm going to go down there and I'm going to assume this role. And all we have to do is follow the script and allow ourselves to rise. For as Mother Maya Angelou said it, just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. And so from the ancestors to you, I bring a message this day. There is a divine intelligence in you, and you can use it to awaken yourself and to awaken those around you. You cannot fail in your mission, for you are what it is, and it is what you are, and it always wins. So you will always rise. Just remember to say to yourself daily, yes, I will rise. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you, Rev.
Rev. I will rise. Absolutely. And so this week's talk title is And Still I Rise. And Kelly did such a beautiful job of reading that poem. And, you know, I was thinking back to the first time that I ever met Maya Angelou. Now, this was not in person, but on the TV. And I saw her at the 1993 inauguration of not Jimmy Carter, but the other guy, Clinton. Thank you, Bill Clinton. Yeah. And so I remember the poem that she read. I remember after that I would read her book, why I know why the caged bird sings. And why does the caged bird sing? It sings because it wants to be free. It doesn't sing for our pleasure, it sings for it. And so, she wrote that first book. She went on to write other books, other autobiographies. And that first book was the story of her childhood in Stamps, Arkansas. And I remember a couple of years ago, I did a talk and I included some stuff about Maya Angelou, and I remember being shocked that I had lived 15 miles from where she grew up. I had lived on a ranch in Arkansas, in a tiny, Stamps, Arkansas is only 1,000 or so people. And, that was 10 times bigger than Willisville, Arkansas, that had 100 and some people. I have such fond memories of Willisville, Arkansas. I remember the first day of school, I walked in there, and this school was a school, it was first and second grade together, third and fourth, all same way, or two years together, all the way up through their senior year. And I walked into that school, and this was a few months in, because I had started first grade in San Diego. So I come here, and they're teaching them to count. 1, 2, 3. And I walk in the door, and the teacher looks at me, and she goes, "Do you know how to count?" I was incensed. I was 6 years old. Of course I could count. I had a brother that was 5 years older than I was. I had a World Book Encyclopedia. This is, I'm a physicist, so remember this. But, I remember learning how to count the big numbers by going to the World Book because it was numerated throughout the whole thing linearly. It didn't break. And and I would just turn the page, 1,127, 1,128. And then that same day, I remember being told by a boy a joke. Well, sort of a joke. He said, "Do you know what the difference between a Yankee and a damn Yankee is?" He says, "A Yankee comes to visit. Damn Yankee stays." And he was talking about me. I mean, I didn't get it at the time, but I get it now. I'm sure he did not make that up, right? It was a town of 100 and some people. I'm sure everybody knew that these Yankees had moved into town, and the father had probably told it to his son or to a neighbor or something. So the point of the story is in 1967, the schools were not integrated in Willisville, Arkansas. And Maya Angelou came from a time before that. She was born in 1928, a month before, almost to the day, a month before my mother was born. And so they were contemporaries, living probably not far from each other for a while. I don't know. She might have escaped stamps by that time. She probably had. But, it's just amazing how paths cross. And what I was thinking is absolutely she rose. She rose much farther than I rose. Not only from the end point, but she started even at a more humble place. And so I want to read one of the stanzas from that poem that Kelly read. It's Maya Angelou. Let me see if I can show it here. There we go. It says, "You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I rise." And that's what we do. It made me think about, rising. It made me think about being at Big Sky Retreat. I told you a couple weeks ago I had just gotten back and I had gone to Big Sky, Montana, which is up at 7,500 feet. Well, air's a little thin up there, right? So I had been up there, and when I was there, David Alt was the keynote speaker, and he spoke for a couple hours at the beginning, a couple hours towards the end. He's a marvelous speaker, and he had a marvelous story to tell us that first day. He told us about, 20-some years ago, he had gone to Cambodia, and he had gone to, they have one of the most famous Buddhist temples in that region there. It's beautiful. And it was Wat something or other, Wat Angkor or something. I can't quite remember the name, but he was there, and he was there because he was leading a tour group. And people lead those tour groups because if you get enough people, you go for free, right? So he was there doing all the work, making all the arrangements, doing all of that. And as we know, those of us who have traveled to parts of the world like that, oftentimes when we arrive there, we find out that we are like the billionaires here in this country, right? We are, the top 0.25% in that nation at that time. And so some people just don't mind it. I mean, they just do their thing. Some people, like this particular group, said they wanted to do something for the people. And so they asked one of the guides, they said, what can we do? We want to give. We want to help. And so these 20 people that were traveling together, they went and they went to all 3 of the little market stores. They're not like supermarkets here. They're little market stores. And they took all the food out of there. Out of all 3 of the stores, it cost them a total of $86 because food prices are much different. And so they filled up vans and they talked to this guide, and he said, well, there's a lake where all the really poor children are who don't get enough to eat. Take it there. So he made a few calls and he talked to some of the leaders in the area, and when they arrived, they had lines of children already waiting. And they pulled up the van and, all nice and orderly, they're putting everything out, and that lasted for about 4 or 5 minutes when all of a sudden people started to recognize there's free food. And they overran it. And it was chaos. And all the people who had come there could do was just get out of the way. And David says that he found himself in one of the little pontoon boats that were for rent to be out on the lake. And he found himself lying in the pontoon boat crying. And saying to himself over and over again, I am available. I am available to do whatever needs to be done. And David, since then, has created an organization which I've given money to. I think it's a good one, that goes out, and he's learned his lesson now, not to do tourist type of giving, but to do organized giving. And he's working with organizations that are embedded in the area and doing good work. He was the minister at the Atlanta Center for Spiritual Living for quite a while, and he's moved on. David Alexander has taken that one. And now he's doing that full time. That's what he does, is he works with his foundation. And so, out of that phrase, I am available, it's got power to it, doesn't it? I stumbled across that phrase in my fiction writing when I was in my 20s. And I realized the power of it in fiction. And I've seen the power of the phrase, I am willing, in my life. I've been playing with this for, a lot of years now. And I am willing, I've come to recognize that phrase is at the very core of so many stories. Because if you think about it, we all know of the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell, calls it this, and he lays out what this means. But it basically means that, a person is called to come from where they live, out of obscurity, onto a journey that goes somewhere where they learn something, they bring that back, and they change the world because of it. Ulysses was one of the, a story of that. Ulysses in the Iliad. Harry Potter is a similar type of story. He goes off to Hogwarts and he learns and he comes back and he changes the world around him. I got another story for you. It comes from the Bible. And it's the story of Moses. And if you know the Bible at all, you know this story. It's one of the most famous stories out of the Bible. And, Moses, he's innocently just kind of doing his thing as a shepherd, tending his father's sheep. When what does he see? Lo and behold, a burning bush. And out of that burning bush is the sound of a voice that must be the sound of God, at least the God of his understanding. I don't know. For me, If I was to see that today, I'd probably go and look for a holographic projector and a speaker, right? But but for Moses, thousands of years ago, if that was what he saw, then, who else could that be but God, his God, talking to him in the flesh? And so this voice out of this burning bush tells him that he needs to go to Egypt. And he needs to save the Hebrew people. And he's going to do, and God tells him he's going to do all of these miracles when he gets there to convince the emperor to let his people go. And what does Moses say? Scratches his head and he goes, well, but God, and I'm paraphrasing here, right? But God, I don't speak very well. I'm not up to this. Really? Really? I mean, if you believe that God is standing there right in front of you, telling you he's going to give you all this power to do all of this, and the problem is that you don't have good speech, don't you think you could maybe overcome that? So really, that was not the issue. The issue was that Moses was standing there going, am I willing? Am I willing to do this? And God tells Moses, you can have your brother to speak for you. That's okay. Just go. And Moses goes, and we know the story, right? Miracles abound, and the Red Sea, parts, and the slaves are free, and what a wonderful story. And it comes from his saying yes. Comes from thinking, am I willing? And eventually, no matter how hard it was to say, saying yes is the story. Now, for us, I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any burning bushes. You see anybody burning bushes, Rev? No? That doesn't mean that Spirit doesn't speak to us. But Spirit, for me, Spirit speaks to me through that still, small voice inside. Spirit speaks to me through suddenly, seeing a billboard and going, oh, look at that. Or hearing a song on the radio and going, oh, I know what that means. Or having this sudden thing that I need to go call a friend they're in need. And each time Spirit speaks to me, I get to think, am I willing? And if I am, then I need to act. I need to put motion behind that. So I was thinking about rising through the air, and still I rise. It got me to thinking of Superman. Rockets and Superman, But Superman, think about Superman. He just rises up there. And that got me to thinking of Christopher Reeves, because he was the original Superman. Back he was 24 years old when he got the part to play Superman. Imagine the change. He had never done anything big before, and all of a sudden he has this huge movie, and that was a blockbuster movie. In today's dollars, it made $1 billion in revenue. $1 billion. That's a lot of dollars. And so he did that one. He did 3 more. Don't watch the 4th one. It's not any good. But the other 2 are pretty good. So he had 3 really good movies. And then, if you remember, he was riding a horse. The horse's name was Buck. And he was in an equestrian event when he came up to, one of the taller barriers he was supposed to jump over, and Buck lived up to his name, stopped and bucked him off. And he went sailing head over heels, and he hit his neck against the barrier. And according to the article I read, if it had been a centimeter to the right, he would have just walked out, would have just gotten up, nothing would have been wrong. If it had been a centimeter to the left, he wouldn't have gotten up. So exactly where he hit, he broke his neck, and he was put into a wheelchair, paralyzed. And I was reading that article, because it'd been a long time. That was a long time ago. And I was reading that article and thinking, what would I do in that situation? My fear is that I would probably just eat ice cream until I fell into a diabetic coma. But he didn't. And that's what counts here today. He didn't. There is a question sitting there that must have been said to him in one way or another, because that kind of injury, it is easy to just give up. Somehow he must have been asked, am I willing? And he said yes. How do I know he said yes? Because the power showed up. Right? Byron Katie, we all know who Byron Katie is, so I won't talk about who she is, but Byron Katie, she says, when you realize that every stressful moment you experience is a gift that points you to your own freedom, life becomes very kind. Life becomes very kind. And so here is Christopher Reeves. He is the most trapped person I can think of. I can't think of a way to get more trapped than to become paralyzed from the neck down. And yet, he embraced the freedom that he still had. And he expanded it, and expanded it, and expanded it. And, you know, he wrote 2 books after that. The first one was Still Me. Still Me. You know, it's not like I had this accident. I'm speaking for him for a moment. It's not like I had an accident and I became a different person. And that's true of each and every one of us. When something happens in our life, it's not like we become somebody else. We're still me. We're still the individualized expression of the divine that we have always been. There is hope, there is love, there is peace, there is joy down. Maybe I can't see it in the moment, but it's right here. It's right here. And so he heard that. He knew that. He also wrote a book called Nothing's Impossible. I think he knows what he's talking about. You know, he created a foundation to study paralysis and to give grants to people who would study paralysis. And so far, they have raised $120 million. That's a pretty big sum of money. He's made a difference. And he's since passed away, but, you know, during that process of all the time he lived from the accident forward, I think, you know, I take heart in this statement from Ernest Holmes, our founder. He says, take the heat out from under old hurts, and what's left is light. I believe he was light. I believe he certainly is light now. And so I want to leave you with an affirmation. It's shown here on your screen right here. And if you would, just read along with me. The power of spirit rises in me, and I am free. Let's say that one more time. The power of Spirit rises in me, and I am free. So as you go out into your week, what I'd like you to remember is I'd like you to remember these stories of these people, Moses and Christopher Reeves, and all the other ones I've mentioned. And just remember that inside of us, there is always this voice that's asking, are you willing? Are you willing? And we get to say yes or no. It's our choice always. And I want you to recognize that by being willing, what you're really doing is you're pointing the way to your own personal freedom. If you're feeling trapped, you need to double down on the listening, on being willing to move forward so that you can move forward with joy, confidence, and ease so you can become the light that you were meant to be. And as always, if you're not quite sure what all of this means for you, just let Spirit guide you. Thank you, and namaste. And so let's just drop down inside to that place that knows that it knows that it knows. Thank you, Chris, for playing under. Oh, and when we drop down to that place and we look out onto the universe, we know that there is only one power, one presence, one life. The life of the divine, the life of Spirit, the God of my understanding, whatever you want to call it, it does not matter because it is the one. And we recognize that there is only love, only peace, only joy, only wholeness, and only order. And it all emanates from this one source, and it creates into our lives with ease and with grace because we are that which it is. We are that life. We are that power. And so the love flows through us. The peace flows through us. The joy, the harmony, the wholeness, the order, and the freedom. There is nothing ever in our lives that can constrict us because we are the freedom that God is. And so it's from that place of knowingness that I speak my word as the truth of each and every one of us here today, that this life, this power, this presence that God is us. And so we get to move forward. No matter what the circumstances are, we get to move forward on a path that is easy and filled with grace. We get to move forward whether we've fallen from our horse, been fired from our job, had something going on in our bodies, whatever it is, we get to move forward because we are free and we create. And we move and have our beingness in, as, and through the divine itself. And so I just give thanks for that knowingness, and I release this prayer to the law, this power that just creates and says yes. I release this word to that. And I just know that life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen. And so now is the time for our conscious contributions. And so I know especially those of you who are online have probably already donated a virtual gift through all of our different online sources. If you are here today, we do have offering envelopes in the pews, and you can put your offering here. At the end of service, because of COVID, we're not passing the basket, but at the end of service, you will find at the doors in the front and the back somebody with a gold offering basket, and so you can throw it in there. And so if you are online, or if you're here and you want to do it virtually, we have three different ways of sending in money. One is to go to ahiah.com/donate and follow the instructions there. Another one is to text to give to 616, not 626, 616-229-2225. And last of all, you can, feel free to send a love offering here to Ahiah. And I love the love notes that you give me also, so you can feel free to just say hi to me in that note too. I love reading those. However you are doing that, what I'd like to do is if you just take that and just maybe virtually hold it to your heart or physically hold it to your heart, it doesn't matter. But say this along with me. I've got the blessing on the screen. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so I just have a couple announcements, and then we're going to have a song. So I want to remind you that we have practitioners. You can go to ahiah.com, meet our practitioners to meet them. If you want to send in a prayer, especially for those of you online, go to ahiah.com/prayers and type in your prayer, and only the practitioners and the ministers see that, and we will pray for you. And there's also dial a prayer that you can get to through our website or by phoning into our number here and pressing option 7. And so I also want to tell you, Tuesday, Financial Freedom. This is an 8-week class that I will be teaching. And we have a prosperity season that is about to come up on October 24th. We're going to start our 4 weeks of prosperity here at Ahiah. And we have a team that's behind the scenes working that right now. Thank you, team. You're doing a wonderful job. Thank you very much. But we're offering Financial Freedom, this 8-week class. It teaches us not just about our finances, but there's a saying in the class that I absolutely believe, which is how you do your money is how you do your life. And so if you want to use money as your way of understanding how the rest of your life got to be the way it is, come to this class. If you want to figure out some methods and some tools and some ways of changing the things that you don't like, come to this class. It starts on the 28th. That's Tuesday. Goes for 8 weeks. It's on Zoom only. It's from 6:30 to 9 o'clock, 2.5 hours. And we also have Ahiah Summer of Love. We're coming down to the last 40 tickets. We had 500 tickets to begin with. We have 40 tickets left. That's great. You can buy 1 ticket for $10 or 2 tickets for $3, or you can do the math and get as many tickets as you want. And up to 40, that's all we have to have left. So the drawing, I believe, is October 4th, so buy the ticket before then for sure. And you can always pick one up and give it to a friend, give it to a neighbor, however. Do whatever you want, but buy the ticket anyway. And let's hear from Patricia.
Good morning. This is Patricia Roach, Practitioner Emeritus at Ahiah, and I will be facilitating a class entitled From Whence It Came, beginning on Tuesday, September 28th, from 3 to 6 p.m. on Zoom, running 10 weeks. So you might ask, where did all of this come from? Well, metaphysics, spirituality, and new thought are actually not new at all. Spirituality based on oneness and the ability to co-create with universal principles grows out of ancient wisdom and comes from a deep lineage of mysticism and philosophy. These spiritual ideas, practices, and deep inner knowing have converged in mental science and American transcendentalism and comes to full power in the New Thought movement and, of course, our science of mind. If you like the history of ideas and love to explore what you think about it all, this course is for you. You'll get 10 weeks to explore the writings of Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thomas Troward, Emma Curtis Hopkins, and, of course, Ernest Holmes. It will be a mind-stimulating set of classes. I hope that you will join us. Again, it begins on September 28th at 3 p.m. and runs for 10 weeks.
Recently did self-mastery with Patricia teaching it. She does a wonderful job teaching classes, so I highly recommend this, especially if you're on the practitioner path. You want to get your classes for practitioner training. And so we'll go ahead and let's go over to Elizabeth. She's going to sing us another song.
It's just been quite a day.
Oh.
That's the wait. That's the bridge.
I don't know what happened.
It's okay.
Well, we'll be till I get to the bridge. Then I don't know what's going to happen.
You'll wing it, I know.
I certainly will. We will rise. How weird is that? I had them and then they just disappeared. Guess I'm not in control of that. So if you hear me going hum 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 hum, hum, just know. Put your own vibe on it. I don't know. That's so strange. Okay. Wow. Mm-hmm. Listen as your day unfolds. Challenge what the future holds. Try to keep your head up to the sky. Lovers, they may cause you fears. Go ahead, release your fears. Stand up and be counted. Don't cry. You gotta be bad. You gotta be bold. You gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know is love will save the day. Listen what your elders said. Read the books your parents read. Try to solve your puzzles in your own sweet time. Some may have more cash than you. Others take a different view. My, oh my, hey, hey, hey. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know, love will save the day. Here we go. Time asks no questions, it moves on without you. You know that it sets the pace. Don't be afraid no matter what's in front of you. Oh, you know you got fears to face. Hey. Wait, I gotta recover from that. To the chorus. You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta stay together. All I know is love will save the day, yeah. Gotta be cool. wiser. All I know is that love will save the day. You gotta be cool, you gotta be calm, you gotta be smarter. You gotta be tough, you gotta be bold, you gotta be stronger. You gotta be hard, you gotta be tough, you gotta be stronger. All I know is love will save the day. All I know is love will save the day. Hey! All I know is love will save the day. Woo!
Give it up for Elizabeth
All right.
and the band.
Yes. All right, Ahiah.
Yes.
Love saved this day, that's for sure.
And so let's do the benediction. I've got it up here on the screen. You can say it along with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. It is this, life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it. And I share it. Just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Until then, God bless. Give me a yell. I love you. See you tomorrow. See you next week or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. It's good to have you here. Thank you, everyone.